All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it has BSS with its main Google search. So we're back here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned post, pinned video. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our, here in white, we got our intent spectrum here. High intent on the left, low intent on the right. And if the boudoir photographer is rising, they're usually bringing in all peeps from, this entire intent spectrum, kind of all these cohorts. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, then they're missing some one or many cohorts here on this entire spectrum. So over on the left, which we talk about here, BSS focuses on the highest intent people. Google search, social search, those searching for boudoir photo shoots like ASAP right now in their city right now. Over on the right, that's where you focus on like the lowest intent people in our city. And that's why their sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. And right now, we only focus on working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads over there. So that's what we got. Now, boudoir search sameness, BSS, is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And 0 slots means they're on page 2 or deeper, or effectively invisible. Because we know that approximately 80% of all Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And we care about these 80% because these peeps are, that's the bulk of the market, the approximately 80%. For most of the market, that's the bulk. And if we're invisible to them, that's killing our business. Also, 1 slot on page 1, also not good enough. It's not good enough because, there's 10 organic slots on page 1 of Google. And if we're missing 9, or if there's 9 of the boudoir photographers on page 1, then then basically we're looking the same as everyone else. We're not standing out. And a buyer's just going to, click on everyone's link going down, contact everyone, price shop everyone, and literally, we're going to be price shopped to death, compared to death. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google, extremely common, but not normal. That means like we got big, it's not normal to have so few page 1 links on Google as a boudoir photographer. Either 0 or 1. Yeah, we got some big issues then if that's happening. And so market saturation, basically everyone knows about this one. This is when it seems like every week a new boudoir. It seems like someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up their Google My Business profile, send that the National Boudoir, or and they got their website saying they're a boudoir photographer, and so they are, increasing the competition for the keywords on page 1, and increasing that competition, maybe kicking us off. And also, if someone gets, like a new camera now, they're posting the mom groups on Facebook saying that they have for boudoir photo shoots. And so that's market saturation. Also, big market saturation happened when COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, but people still turn money somehow. And look, everyone's got a phone with a great camera, so kind of natural that a ton more people become, new boudoir photographers or offer boudoir photo shoot services. Now, the thing that most people don't know about is the false belief of page 1 equality, but more and more people are coming to know about it every day. So this is where, it's kind of auto-accepted by boudoir photographers, like, hey, every boudoir photographer basically gets 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And yeah, I made my website was ranked on page 1, and and maybe market got a little saturated, we got pushed to page 2, and well, that's simply how it is. We are that's normal. And yeah, hopefully they delete their website so Google can re-rank us up on top or get us back on page 1. But that's not normal. Google will actually give us as many links on page 1 as we want to take, as we want to put in the effort to take. So it's basically like we're falsely believing, basically everyone gets 0 1 slots on page 1. No, that's incorrect. I know it's incorrect. So I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. Because I want to put in the effort to take as many slots as I want, and Google does give that. Google does give those links to people. Next, we also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So we're building up our universe here on the left. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. Thankfully, we now finally have a solution to boudoir search sameness. That is social search saturation, our S-cubed methodology, which we invented. The way it works is it's exactly what it says. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, most relevant to what boudoir photography buyers are searching. And when you saturate these on the social media networks, that's kind of like, our small streams or small rivers coming down the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. And when we do that enough, eventually they all flow together to the Amazon River. That's page one on Google. So kind of all these dominating these high intent keywords on the social networks will eventually flow to us dominating, you know, as many links as we want to acquire on page one on Google for those searches. And also, a special thing about SQ methodology is it's the only strategy I've seen for boudoir photographers that can actually fight back against market saturation, overcome it, and still grow a business in a relatively fast time frame. The only other solution that had previously existed is building a brand, a well-known brand. Dude, that takes like 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore. AI is coming to eat people's, careers, livelihoods, and so we gotta get moving. So how's SQ methodology overcome market saturation? So let's say we got 1 million boudoir photographers in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they shoot boudoir, and we actually, so we're one of the 1 million. We're like, all right, market is extra saturated here. We need to crank up SQ methodology to the max to actually give ourselves a shot here to keep growing, not simply maintain, but actually continue to grow. So we crank up SQ methodology to the max, and let's say we're up the rank like the first 300 slots across all social networks for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in Raleigh. And as a result, that flows onto Google. And let's say we take the first 300 slots as well. So this would be like really ultra maxing it out, which is a very tiny possibility of actually ever happening. And so let's say, and as a result, anytime someone who wants boudoir searches on social or on Google, we're literally the only person they see for the first 300 slots. And Google is 10 slots per page, 10 slots organic search results per page. So literally the first 30 pages on Google is basically only us. And our competitors start showing up, page 31. But we already know approximately 80% of people ain't never even going to page 2. So ain't no one going to page 31 to find our competitors. So as a result, we're basically the only one our boudoir photographer or people who want boudoir can find. And we are, we're getting all the intake. Our business is the one that's still growing because we've taken over all the highest intent search slots. And so a lot of peeps, didn't even know this possibility existed because they had they kind of auto-accepted, implicitly accepted the false belief of page one equality. So that scenario in Raleigh, we're actually still growing the business, and everyone else, every other boudoir photographer is disappearing out of those million, but we are still growing the business and still successfully growing in the midst of massive market saturation. And this happens a lot quicker than brand. But kind of a bonus, long-term benefit is SQ methodology actually is the fastest way to reach a well-known brand. So imagine if you're a well-known brand and you still continue to use SQ methodology, you'll basically be unstoppable. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility, P1V. And initial benefit of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. And so, initial benefit of SQ methodology, we get more links, but on page one, on Google search. But as a result, every link we take, we're kicking basically a competing boudoir photographer off there, putting them back on page number 2. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 only searches. So we're making them visible to the bulk of the market, approximately 80% of the market that never even reaches page 2. So this is an awesome initial benefit. Second benefit of utilizing SQ methodology. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. Now we do have a recommended minimum, a GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page 1 links on Google. That's because if Google's recommends 3 out of 10 times for the highest intent keywords, buyers are subconsciously going to be like, oh, why are they recommending this person so much? Come by the third time I see us, and they may even only click on our links, not even any of our competitors, even though we only have 3 out of 10 because we look so much better, so much larger, so much more recommended than the basically than everyone else. Also, there's a very, very tiny, rare chance that another boudoir photographer will have 2 slots page 1 on Google, so we dominate them as well. When we got basically when we got 3. So we dominate all the people that got 0 slots on page 1, or 1 slot on page 1, or 2 slots on page 1. We dominate everyone. And a boudoir photographer with BSC is a visible boudoir photographer, VBP. So this is our entire universe, micro universe here. We got a declining boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, or a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. Thankfully, we now have the solution, thank the universe. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility, we become a visible boudoir photographer, and we achieve boudoir search visibility. So now my results, me using SQT methodology. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS Boudoir, and I exclusively used SQT methodology to do this. So I started out with 0 out of 10 links on Google page 1. And let's look at how many organic slots I got on Google page 1. I was able to get using SQT methodology. So we got organic slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So I literally got 9 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 search with only 10 days of utilizing SQT methodology. So these are the results that I've got for myself. Now we're going to check out, we're going to see if this boudoir photography business has BSS, kind of the basis for all this stuff. So let's see. So we're going to do a search boudoir photography for Las Vegas. All right. All right, so we got boudoir photographer Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's see. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, there we go. All right, we got 1. 1 out of 10. Nice. All right. We got 1 out of 10, so we do have BSS, boudoir search sameness, because we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google search for high intent keywords here. And ideally, we would want to get to our GBC minimum of 3 out of 10, because then we can basically guarantee we're not a bit disappearing boudoir photographer. At minimum, we're treading water, or we could actually be growing. So we do want to get to 3 out of 10. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, so you've done the BSS search for local and for city for yourself, and you are you're saying you either got BSS or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google, and you've seen SQT methodology, like, wow, that is exactly what I need. That's what I want. That's what I've been waiting for. Kind of solve this, kind of dominate page 1, which honestly is kind of secondary benefit. Kicking our competitors off page 1 is probably the most important thing. Getting them to page 2, where they're invisible to approximately 80% of Google searches. And you're saying, okay, SQT methodology, you decide, okay, that can get you there. And the you understand the page, the false belief of page 1 quality is exactly that, a false belief. So you're like, okay, now we can break through kind of mental barrier and see what are the solutions after to take as many page 1 slots on Google, as I want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation, basically new gear, new people coming into Boudoir, new websites, new people competing on page 1, yeah. But you're also looking ahead, seeing AI is going to take more and more people's jobs. And since everyone's got a smartphone with an awesome camera, it's actually going to force more and more boudoir photographers into the market than potentially ever, just because AI is going to be so widespread. So you're thinking ahead. You like the initial benefits of boudoir, where basically, or at least you like the initial benefits of getting more slots page 1 on Google, kicking out more boudoir photographers off page 1 on Google. And you also like that SQT methodology can actually fortify your position in the new boudoir peeps coming into the marketplace. And so you're seeing, okay, SQT methodology can help fortify that position as well, kind of like building up the levees for New Orleans, Louisiana, to keep the ocean out, because New Orleans is below sea level. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need those things in order to become #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also thinking ahead to the extended future benefits, which is kind of the more that we execute S-cubed correctly every single day, we're building up these kind of invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, attached to our business, attached to our kind of like invisible mindshare for AI mindshare. And that actually increases the probability that we are brought up in this AI overview, premium placement. This probability increases every day we run S-cubed methodology correctly. And this is a premium placement. And also to increase the probability that AI search recommends this, ChatGPT search and, Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini. Because I remember the last time I looked for a boudoir photographer in a city, they only recommended me 3. And I went on Google to look at that city, like actually how many options exist. There's about 60. So I was like, dude, we gotta figure out a way to get on here. So you're also seeing S-cubed methodology is the best way to get that done. And you're also seeing, since we be on all these social platforms, dominating the social search, we can create a brand much faster, which is really just kind of like momentum mindshare. And you're also seeing that you decide to be a first mover advantage and be the first one in your city to utilize S-cubed methodology, because my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer for your city. So that enables you to kind of box out all your competitors from using this. So you're saying you can get super ahead with all these slots page 1 on Google, all this momentum of, basically all this momentum of kind of this invisible thematic keyword column mindshare, and really put a large amount of distance between yourself and all your competitors. And conversely, if one of your competitors works with me instead, you understand you'd have to go and rederive or derive for the first time S-cubed methodology. And then you'd have to then go execute it at the same rate as me and your competitor each day. And you probably wouldn't feel comfortable putting that much time in, because you'd never be 100% confident that you've even derived it or rederived it correctly in the first place. And then at that point, even if you equal our effort, our output, you would simply be maintaining the gap we've already built between you. You'd have to actually double or triple our output to kind of close that gap and gain on us, and kind of pull back this thematic keyword, invisible thematic keyword columns from, kind of AI mindshare we're acquiring. You'd have to pull that momentum away from us. And like, dude, who's got 80 hours a day to do all this? Who's got 80 hours a day? Nobody. So you've decided, screw that. You've already decided you're gonna be the first one to actually, the first one in your city to utilize this, so you can get all these initial benefits and future benefits. So that's you. Shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed, but if you actually, when I do open DMs for new patient intake, shoot me a DM then, and we'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S-cubed methodology.